The 584th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up today with promo code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
ep584 of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. This episode is dedicated to everyone on Team Gumby Killer. It was a good night for a team. Yeah, you don't you play that music over top of me. It was a great night for the team. Of course, Gumby tries to interrupt the Team Gumby Killer club meeting here. It was a good night if you were on my side. Last night, not so good if you were a Gumby, but hey, it happens. These things happen in MMA, as a wise announcer once said. I am Jeff Chalks Fox, aka the Gumby Killer. I don't really want to kill Gumby. It's all for fun. Gumby's a good guy. He just had a rough night, all right, because he went against me. But we'll get to all that soon enough. It was a UFC fight night. It was pretty fun, actually.
It was a UFC fight. Was it pretty fun? Night. I mean, the end of it was fun. The main card. Despite, that's actually where my picks fell off the rails the most. Despite that, those were fun fights. And a lot of them were back and forth and had a lot of the early parts of that fight night. Even when I was getting them right, I was like, man, this is not fun to watch. Brad Katona, way to put on a performance, kid.
Hey, I watched that on fast speed because I watched it after the fact. Like, okay, I'll just watch him grind.
It probably didn't even look like it was on fast speed. Yeah, Turns out if you don't throw any punches, it's not actually, you don't actually notice it's slow.
Oh, that's Gumby, everybody. So everyone say hi. Hi, Gumby. That's Daniel Breland. He wants to get into this. He did so well last night. He wants to get down and talk.
Also, I just know our recaps take an hour and a half anyway, true, and this is a 14 fight one, and certainly does not deserve an hour long treatment.
No, it's not. Definitely. When I said it's a fight night, and you thought that was funny, meaning it's fight night, so there's really wasn't too much things of consequence on the night. Maybe a fight or two that was meaningful, at least at this point. Obviously, we saw some up and comers, which was nice to see. But it's not like Gumby said, it wasn't a night that we have to break down with a fine tooth comb each and every fight. But most of the fights, at least the main card fights, were yum for the Yum Center, right? Yummy fights, yum. Yeah. All right. Before we move on, though, I got to tell you that we got a promo. Actually, is this promo still going on? Stanley Cup has already begun, but we are running a Stanley Cup contest. I'm assuming you probably can't get into it at this point because Stanley Cup started last night, and sadly, the Edmonton Oilers lost to Florida. Yeah, Florida, the hockey state that Florida is, won the event. But make sure you do listen to the Hockey Gaming Podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel because they are covering, obviously, the Stanley Cup as it is ongoing right now. And we, on this show, are covering UFC on ESPN. Cannonier versus Imavov. Or what were they calling him? Imavov? I think is what they were calling him last night. I always call him Imavov, but apparently I'm wrong. It's Imavov. Regardless, he was in the main event. It was the middleweight main event, and he won the fight, even though there's a lot of squawking about the stoppage. It was a TKO punches stoppage, minute 34 into the fourth round. Imavov, had Cannonier on skates. The referee chose a weird time to stop it. That's all. He could have stopped it before that, and it would have been fine. But yeah, and I'm not saying that Imavov would have just kept teeing off on him if he hadn't stopped it, but it was the weird time to stop it because Cannonier was on his feet and seemed to be intelligently defending himself. So weird stoppage.
What percent chance would you give that fight ends with a TKO, with that combination, that round, all of that kind of stuff, if he does let it go? Like what percent? Because I think it's probably better than 50-50 that Imavov gets the stop anyway.
Yeah.
But how much more than 50-50 is it that Imavov gets the stop there?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, hard to say. But this is rough for Imavov too, because it's like it's not his fault that the fight got stopped, but yet he's getting put down because of it. So questioned because of it. So
yeah, I mean, it's not his fault that it got stopped early, but at the same time, like he was losing the fight too, which is another thing, which sucks for him. Is that like people will say,
what was it, 2? I thought it was 2-2. I saw you.
No. So the two judges had it 2-1 Cannonier going into the fourth. So obviously Imavov would have wound up winning that round.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And so then it would have been 2-2 and winner take all fifth.
Right.
Now, granted, there was one judge already in favor of Imavov, which seemed kind of egregious. The scorecards were kind of bad in various fights last night. So like, yeah, I mean, like he could have wound up winning it anyway. He could have wound up getting that stoppage anyway. You know, I think it was probably like a 60-40 chance it gets stopped there anyway. But like that's not a good stoppage in any sense. And you're right, it's gonna wind up taking away from Cannonier because at the end of the day, he's not going to get the win bonus. He's not going to get. He's obviously going to fall off the rankings, which is not off the rankings, but down in the rankings, which is right. But like Imavov's not going to get the love he probably deserves either. Because if you just let him go and eat off on him and got the stoppage, we'd be talking about this guy like a top 5 guy. And instead we're talking about him like a guy who probably didn't deserve to win this weekend.
Yep, that is true. So fun fight up to that point though. Too bad it had to end that way. Do we care what's next for Imavov? It's middleweight. Do we really?
I think it's It's got to be Strickland, right? Like I just feel like it sort of
timing and everything works.
It sort of has to be because, like, right now we've got clearly Dreykus is going to fight Izzy. It seems like that is on the docket. And you'd have to sort of assume that whoever wins that is going to get Whitaker or Khamzat. You know what I mean? Because that fight's coming up too. And whoever wins that one. It seems like they're ahead of Strickland. It's not like Strickland's last performance has me begging for him in a title fight. And I think kind of the thought for me is that like, I guess Strickland can jump the line if Whitaker beats Khamzat and then Izzy beats Dreykus because I don't think they'll do number 4, right? Or whatever it will be, or number 3, whatever it is. I don't think they'll run that one again yet if there is another option to do Strickland or something like that. So like, maybe then, but like if Khamzat wins or if Dreykus wins and there's a fun new combination of one of those two, I think you see that one. And I think you see Strickland have to fight somebody like Imavov. Did they already fight? I feel like they already fought once. Am I wrong about that?
Yes, they did. Strickland beat him, I think.
Yeah. So maybe that rematch is on the docket. I don't know. It's a weird time at middleweight.
And if Khamzat does win, then who knows how long it's going to be. That'll really hold up the division because he never fights.
Yeah, I mean, although that could maybe be a good thing for Strickland too, right? Like if Khamzat wins, maybe there's just a big enough gap that Khamzat doesn't need to fight again and is still second in line. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I think there's probably some things to be worked out there, and it will largely depend on what happens in that Khamzat fight and what happens in the Izzy Dreykus fight.
But it's middleweight, so who cares really when it comes right down to it? We care more than we do about light heavyweights. We knew this fight was going to end in a knockout, Gumby. But we didn't see Dominic Reyes knocking out Dustin Jacoby, which he did 2 minutes in. Dustin Jacoby, I guess, is done, apparently. I was a little worried when I saw him. Like, he seems like he's a little, I don't know. I just had a feeling. He seemed like tentative,
right?
Yeah, and old. And like, oh, dear. But I didn't think Reyes was going to knock him out. We still don't know if Reyes has a chin because he got hit maybe once or twice in the head. It's not like he ate a bunch of punches. So it's not like Reyes is back, but he got to win. At the very least.
And I don't think we ever doubted his offense. I know we wrote him off on the preview episode, but like, I don't think we really ever doubted his offense. Nobody really ever has, right? Like he's always been able to throw, especially that counter left hand, which is the one that got it done. And I still think they're going to wind up, and I even tweeted this out. I think they're going to wind up pairing him with like Khalil Roundtree next. You know, it just, right? Doesn't it just like feel like that's what they want to do next? Like feed him to some.
You were supposed to lose here, dude. Why didn't you lose? All right, now we have to give you someone else.
Exactly. Like he's gonna kick around close to the top 10 with this win because it's a win over Dustin Jacoby, and he's only lost to the tippity top of the division. So now they're gonna give him another guy closer to the tippity top of the division, and probably a kickboxer who will knock his head off. So and Roundtree just lost out on having that, the fight with Jamal Hill that he was supposed to have. He'll probably recover right in time to fight somebody like Dominic Reyes and just blast his head into the stratosphere and get back to where he belongs. So that's sort of my guess for where that goes next.
Yeah, the Jacoby run was fun. The ride didn't last very long, but it was a fun ride while it lasted.
Yeah, kind of a bummer because it looks so promising at the beginning, but I think ultimately his biggest issue is being a strategically point fighting light heavyweight, right? Because not that he doesn't have knockouts, right? He knocked out is it the South Korean dude there, Daun Jung. He like knocked him out, and he's got like some knockouts in there, but like largely his style is not one that is like go knock somebody's head off. I think largely that costs you in a division where everybody can turn the lights out. And maybe that sort of created a ceiling for him.
Yeah. Next fight, a lot of animosity in this fight. Ricky Turcios with the very strong words to Raul Rosas trying to give him a glove tap to start the fight off, but Rosas got the last laugh. This was a fun grappling battle between these two guys. Rosas ended up coming through, the youngster, my pick. Rear naked choke over Ricky Turcios after almost getting rear naked choked himself. It lasted 2:22 into the second round, and Rosas got himself a bonus.
Yeah, that first round looked exactly like I handicapped the fight, and then the second round looked exactly like what I didn't need. I don't know, maybe I put too much stock in the fact that it looked like Rosas has had shitty cardio in the past, or maybe Turcios just didn't make him work enough. Because to be fair, like even when he reversed positions, then he was just on back mount. Like that's not really an exhausting spot for anybody. He wasn't really working all that much. So yeah, props to Rosas. I don't think we learned anything about him, right? He still kind of can't strike, and is pretty damn good on the mat. So I don't know what this means. He's 19, so I guess we'll find out.
Probably the best win though that he has, right?
Oh, so that's definitely the best win for him. Definitely
that's something. Yep. Yeah, he's still winning despite the step up in competition. So that's a bonus for the kid. Middleweight fight: Bruno Ferreira knocked out Dustin Stoltzfus. This was fun. He hit him with a couple of spinning shots, but he ended up
spinning elbows.
He ended up finishing it with a spinning back elbow. This was Gubby made a lot of. You went out there with your picks. Unfortunately, a lot of them didn't come through for you. I had Ferreira, the favorite, because I'm a chalky guy, minus 250.
I think I'd probably still take the Dustin Stoltzfus at 2-1.
It looked good until it didn't.
I mean, it looked good until it didn't, right? And that's kind of the thing with beating Bruno Ferreira is, and not for anything. Like I said, the thing that Stoltzfus needed to do was tire him out, and he was well on his way to doing that to the point where I actually think Bruno Ferreira started throwing those spinning elbows because he was tired. Because standing in front of a guy and throwing three-piece combinations is a lot more exhausting than throwing one spinning elbow and then resetting for a couple of minutes. And he basically, I think, was looking for the home run and he got it. So props to him for that, obviously. Also, Stoltzfus got top control time, like I predicted. I had some people telling me, like, hey, Ferreira, he's a judo guy. He's a black belt guy, black belt in judo, black belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't think Stoltzfus could take him down and control him. Stoltzfus took him down and controlled him for a little while, and I think Stoltzfus is going to continue to be one of those guys that I find a reason to back, despite the fact he'll probably lose, because he's going to be listed at plus 200, plus 300 all the time. And he's a dog. He's an absolute dog in there. And he battled with Ferreira. Ferreira's put a lot of dudes out cold. And Stoltzfus just hung on. So he fought for my money at the end of the day. Bruno Ferreira, a guy who's just going to throw haymakers and is going to beat anybody who will eat one of those.
Yep. And muscles make you tired. That came through as well.
They do.
Yeah. And another bonus for Bruno Ferreira. All right. Before we move on, speaking of bonuses and giveaways and all that good stuff, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. They have a new thing actually there. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries. So you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. So who do we like tonight, Gumby?
So I put up an article on sportsgamblingpodcast.com, so you can go check that out, because I not only have my 3 picks, but also I threw together a pick 8 that goes at the bottom of the article, so you can check out all 8 of those. My personal favorite, Kristaps Porzingis, higher than 3.5 first quarter points. There's no way they don't let him loose early on in this game after what he did in game one. So Kristaps Porzingis higher than 3.5 in the first quarter.
Yeah. Is he going to start tonight? Do you know?
I don't know if it matters. He took 6 shots in the first quarter in game one and didn't start. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Gotta let him go.
Yeah. It seems like too low of a line. So get on that. Hopefully you get this in your eyes and ears in time. Don't miss your chance to try out Pick 8 before it's gone. And to try it out, make sure, first of all, you sign up with our promo code MMA SGPN. Help us beat those gambling podcast people and whoever else has got more signups than we do. So use that code. You can claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN is what you need there. All right, let's rip through the rest of these middleweights. We knew this. Well, actually, we didn't know. I predicted this one would end in a knockout, and it did. But the wrong man got knocked out. Who knew Zachary Reese had that kind of powers? Zachary Reese knocked out Julian Marquez, TKO, body kick, and punches 20 seconds into the fight. At least I didn't have to suffer long with this one. Gumby had Reese. I didn't. Two underdogs come through. This was 1 year underdogs that came through.
Yeah, I had Reese in this one, and not how I expected it though. No. You know, I was like happy I won this one, but I was like, I had Reese by submission. I thought Reese for sure was gonna catch Marquez doing something stupid, and he did, just not in the way that I expected him to.
No,
Marquez is shot, right? Like, is that?
Yeah, if he's getting knocked out by this guy, you gotta think he's shot by now, right?
No, if you go back on Reese's regional record, I want to say, was it Fury FC he used to fight for?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
or it was either that or CFFC. But like he had a bunch of TKO stoppages back then too. So his sub skills are good, but like he's also a long, rangy kind of guy, and he's got some power. And I know you don't watch post fight.
No, I didn't, because especially last night.
Did you hear the best quote of the night belonging to Zachary Reese? So
please give it to me.
Zachary Reese, when they asked him about the fight, he said, "Yeah, I know I fight like white trash sometimes."
Oh, nice. You look like white trash, but you fight like it perfect.
He said,
"Get him on your show, Gumby."
Sometimes I fight like white trash.
Get him on Top Turtle before his next fight, right?
A lot of fun. That guy.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a big win for him, and yeah, like Gumby said, you gotta kind of think the Cuban Missile Crisis he failed to launch. Basically, he had a couple decent fights, but not enough probably to stick around. Both, I was saying I was chalky. I did pick 2 underdogs last night, and they both hit, including this man. Punahele Soriano took care of Miguel Baeza. Boy, he schooled this man. 30-25, 30-25, 30-27, because one judge doesn't realize you can give 10-8 rounds. Well, two judges realize that you can, but
that was a local judge too. It's worth.
Yeah, I'm glad local judges work the big shows, especially big shows on ESPN.
I mean, they gotta get experience. Like if they have clearly proven themselves on the bottom tier and work their way up, but like it's not a good look when they do get that first shot and they're like clearly off. And I would say in this fight, not much to break down here other than Baeza 2 years off just looks not like he's there anymore. I think
his chin got tested. He didn't get knocked out, which is an improvement, because he ate a lot of shots while he was. Last night was a night of let's fish for knee bars, even though no one ever hits knee bars in MMA or in UFC. In the UFC at least, let's fish for knee bars and eat a million punches in the process.
Yeah, it wasn't a good idea. And I'll also just say. I don't know whether or not to say, okay, Puna looks good at 170, or if this was, just the right opponent, right time. I think the verdict's still going to be out, especially because it was like a real wrestling heavy approach. And I don't know that he's going to out wrestle any of these 170 pounders. We always talk about that, just outside of the top 15, top 70 guys or 170 guys, the Max Griffins and the Alex Moronos and all of those kind of guys. I don't know that there is any chance that he out wrestles Alex Morono. I don't know that there's any chance he out wrestles a Nico Price or a Max Griffin. So I think the verdict's still kind of out, but hey, if he's down there, he's making the weight, which he did. He needed a second trip to the scale, but he made the weight. At least he's finding some level of success, more than he did at 85.
Yeah, he definitely looked good, but like you said, it's hard to tell based on who he's fighting, but definitely not the fight plan that we expected for him.
Nope.
So yeah, if he's going to be able to mix grappling up with the striking, then yeah, maybe the kid's got a future here. I went 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2 in the on the main card. Gumby used to host a show called Prelim Primer. Prelim Picker. I used always get it wrong.
Prelim
Primer, and he went 1 for 4, 5 on the main card. So because prelims is where Gumby shines. Just not last night. Prelims.
I did all right on the prelims.
Yeah.
I hit a big dog.
I accidentally deleted my PVR recording. So I missed the first round of Ludovic Klein versus Thiago Moses, but apparently Klein won that round too.
You cut the whole thing. It looked the same in every round.
Yeah, Klein looked good, which I'm glad because I had him again, -120.
Yeah, good move up to lightweight for him. I mean, like, I thought for sure his wrestling defense wasn't going to hold against a guy like Thiago Moises, and it for sure did. Yeah, his the hips work really well at that weight class. His cardio works really well at that weight class. Yeah, I mean, he's probably primed for a pretty big step up here. That was probably one of the more meaningful fights on this card.
Yep, definitely looked good, and he's an exciting. Last night's fight wasn't the most exciting, but normally he's Mr. Highlight. So
yeah,
pretty exciting guy as it was. We both had this one, which was fun. This kid definitely has a future. Carlos Praches. I call him a kid. He's so good. He's young, is he not? I think
he's so good.
We had him at -225, which looked like a steal. So we both made him our lock of the week. We were right there. Took care of Charles Radke knockout body blow, and then he didn't have to finish up.
No, he walked off. They tried to make him.
Yes, needed the body walk off. 447 into the first round. We had a few body blow shots last night, so yeah, I was getting them mixed up. But yes, this one was a walk off.
I just have to say, the best part about Carlos Praches for me is he sets things up so well. Like, I think this guy sees things that nobody else sees. Like, everybody was talking about how in that Trevin Giles fight, he wasn't winning until he knocked him out. I think he was just biding his time and setting Giles up the whole time. And as soon as he had his read, he was like, okay, there's my read, left hand, over. In this one, he backed up Chuck Buffalo the whole time and kept being like, I think the rib cage is there. I think the rib cage is there. Then he reached out, held his hand, opened the rib cage up, and drove that knee in perfectly. Dude, this guy is an absolute sniper, and the way he sets stuff up is so good. I can't say enough about Carlos Praches. I think this guy, I really do think the sky's the limit for him in this weight class. I mean, if you ran him right now against, I'm trying to think of who's there on the outside of the 170-pound division. I mean, if you ran him against Puna, he'd beat the hell out of Puna. You know? I mean, like, I think he's ready for that Max Griffin. I think he is actually ready for that Max Griffin tier. He is ready for that Alex Morono, Nico Price tier. Like, give him that kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's not. I see he's 30, so he's not the super youngest. So let's get this ball rolling. Hey,
and he's super experienced too. He's got like 23, 24 fights, right?
Well, there you mentioned. You mentioned Max Griffin. I'm checking the rankings I run on my Substack, Money MMA, at substack.com. Check it out. It's based off performance, who they beat, how recently they beat them, whether they finished the person, that type of stuff. He's slotted right in like half a point ahead of Max Griffin. So boom,
you nailed it. Perfect.
He's right between Max Griffin and Nico Price and Muslim Salikov.
Those are the two names I said.
Exactly. Yeah, no, he's. I know Dana White says he's reminded him of Anderson Silva, but we don't need to get that crazy about it.
But I see the comparison because of the range.
For sure.
And like I just said, the most important part is not the knockout blows. It's the way that he sets them up and he surgically grabs them. It's exactly like when Anderson Silva first came up. It's like he was biding his time until he had the perfect read, and then he put you away.
Yep. The kid's got it, Gumby. And you're reminding me of Dana when you were talking about him too. So not in a bad way. I know you probably don't want to be compared to Dana White, but it must be the Boston area that comes out. But when you get excited about fighters like he does, maybe that's it. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that kid's got something, Gumby. The kid wants to fight. So yeah, hopefully they give him a fun matchup. Like Nico Price would be an exciting matchup too.
It would be wild.
Nico Price would eat a lot of shots. It would be fun. It would be fun. All right. Before we move on, let me tell you about Rhythm, RITHMM. If you're betting on NBA player props, Gumby just actually gave you a play earlier on, and then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game. Make it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning our algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Rhythm pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help you feel more confident in your picks, which you can make wherever you normally place your bets or DFS picks. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook. Rhythm also allows you to create your own custom NBA models, so you get AI-backed moneyline spread and total picks for every playoff game. Claim your free 7-day trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And NYRA Bets. Bet the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga with NYRA Bets. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus just in time for the Belmont Stakes at nyrabets.com/SGPN25. Need an extra boost? Bet the Penn Mile with a bonus. Earn $10, win or lose, when you bet at least $100 on Penn National on Friday. Visit nyrabets.com to opt in. That's not all. Get $10 win or lose when you opt in and bet at least $100 on Monmouth Park on Saturday. On Sunday, it's your chance to win big at Monmouth Park. Grab a share of $2,500 when you hit the last 2 trifectas. Just opt in at nyrabets.com and get ready to cash in on the excitement. The winning streak continues. Score another $20 win or lose when you bet at least $100 on Assiniboia Downs. That place in Manitoba I was supposed to know how to say, and I still don't know how to say it, on Monday. And remember, to get your $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus for the Belmont Stakes, go to nyrabets.com/SGPN25. Did all those races already happen this past weekend, Gumby? Am I reading it? All the ad reads. You don't know the horse race.
The Belmont Stakes. The Belmont Stakes did end because do you know whose horse won the Belmont Stakes?
Yours, Nikola Jokic's.
Jason Wirtz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jason Wirtz's horse won the Belmont. Yeah.
Well, you should still check out NYRA Bets. Whether I guess you can't bet the Belmont Stakes because Gumby just told you who won it. Thanks for spoiling it for everyone. Now they can't bet it. All right. Bracketona, you told it was boring and screw that
Let's
guy.
Just skip that one.
He betrayed my country.
I gotta throw this. He did.
Yes.
He did.
He destroyed him on the ground. But we shouldn't just, it was a good performance. He dominated the guy.
He fought one of the worst guys in the UFC and didn't do anything with it. Has no finishing ability. My favorite part of the fight though was when Brendan Fitzgerald on his walkout said, "Why would you boo Brad Katona?" And I was like, literally, I was almost booing him. I was almost booing him on a podcast where he can't hear me. If I was in person, you bet I would be booing him.
Yeah, he's very unlikable, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one of the least likable guys on the Ultimate Fighter, outside of Julian Lane or somebody of that nature.
And so obviously he's not Canadian anymore, right?
And he's not Canadian anymore. He's Irish. Yeah, he's Irish.
Yes, which is why he's annoying now. He's not Canadian. But anyhow, good performance by him. But like Gumby said, he couldn't squish a grape in a fruit fight, as one of the expressions goes.
I like that.
Yeah. Women's flyweight. How do we get this wrong? This was I made this my play of the day on the sportsgamblingpodcast.com. We both made it our prop bet. Andrea Lee, she almost won a split decision. She didn't deserve to win the fight, but Montana De La Rosa somehow was able to out-grapple her and outstrike her and got her, saved her career basically in the UFC. 28-29, 29-28, 29-28. The 28-29 scorecard is incorrect. Montana De La Rosa clearly won the fight.
Yeah, not much to say here other than I was really impressed with the step up in the striking for Montana De La Rosa. The knock on her has always been she's a really great grappler. Some pretty nice wrestling, some really good jiu-jitsu, and just people generally just shuck off her attempts because they know that's all she's got. And then she came in there and she hit Andrea Lee a couple of times. She did wind up in the worst end of a couple of scrambles, which is kind of disappointing. But at the end of the day, that's probably a signature performance for her. So really good job there. Obviously, I think this is probably the end for Andrea Lee, right? They can't keep paying her probably what she's getting paid because she's been there for a long time. She's probably making some good money. And yeah, I think that's got to be the end for her. Her and she can go fight wherever Tony Kelly's fighting too.
BKFC sounds. Yeah, isn't that right up her alley? Basically?
Yeah, she could fight Beck Rollins or something like that over there. Yeah, that's a great fight.
the far more likable human being won the fight, so I'm not totally totally mad about
with the more likable husband. Yeah, because I loved Mark De La Rosa. He's a good dude too.
Guy. Yeah, so it's good one of them gets to stick around the UFC, because I guess Mark got cut a while back, but yeah,
he did.
Tell De La Rosa, there you go, and she was on Tough, so there you go, Gamble. Everything.
And she was on Top Thrill MMA one time.
There you go. Before she got big time, right? All right. Bantamweights. I got this one right. And boy, Daniel Marco, I know you had trouble picking against him because he's a fun guy, but yeah, he's another guy. He looks so good. John Castaneda is tough, or this fight would have ended a lot earlier. A lot earlier than it did. It did go the distance, 30-27, but yeah, Marcos was putting it on him. But he wasn't out of control. He was very surgical, basically.
Yes.
With the power and the precision.
Yeah, I'm going to say two things about this performance. First of all, the announcers out the gate were saying, Charles Rosa says that Daniel Marcos has got some of the best takedown defense he's ever seen. And I'm like, well, what does that even mean? Like, sure, okay, whatever. I'm like, wait until he sees a takedown. Then he saw a takedown and he basically scoffed it at John Castaneda, which is wild. Now, I will also say this, because I'm going to give Marcos his credit where it's due. He stuffed the takedowns. His striking looked uncontrollably good. He was so nice on the feet. I will say, I do think this was a little bit of a fight IQ issue with John Castaneda waiting to wrestle. If you're fighting a guy who's a better striker than you, and that he was obviously a better striker than him, you got to get him thinking about that takedown early. Mm-hmm. And he didn't get him thinking about it at all. He basically tried to lull him into a striking fight. And then by the time he went for those takedowns, I think he had been battered enough and was having trouble closing the distance that it wasn't there. So, and then that's just confidence building for Marcos, because then the takedown looked sad and pathetic and desperate. And then that's just going to help him tee off. So I think there was a little bit of a fight IQ gap, but also credit where credit's due. His takedown defense and his striking looked really good.
Yeah. Exciting. Still undefeated. Do you have a name in mind for him? Bantamweight stacked, so it's not like he's getting near the top of the division anytime soon, but
no, I mean, he's still probably outside the top 25 or 30, but step up, somebody who's been winning, find him somebody there.
Yep. My other underdog that came through and was Denise Gomes. She made Eduarda Moira look like she missed weight, which she did, and really tired her out. This was a split decision, but another one I don't think it should have been. I think Denise Gomes clearly won the fight, 28-29, 30-27, 30-27. So we had a lot of nasty scorecards like that last night. But yeah, Gomes did knock her out. I was thinking, she'd be able to destroy on the feet. But she, despite being basically looking like they're in different weight classes, because I guess technically they were, because Moira has not made weight for strawweight yet since she joined the UFC. Gomes had the physicality to out-grapple her at a lot of times. Not just defensive grappler, but, reverser and all that good stuff. And really tired out Moira by the end of the fight.
Yeah, I think the weight miss is a big piece of that. I think she belongs at flyweight. I thought, the first miss was a blip, and I was like, oh, she'll have it under control for this one. Then she didn't. Right around weigh-ins, I was like, that's a bad sign on this one, and it turned out to be a bad sign. So, yeah, I think up to flyweight for her, probably, if she gets another, because that's 0-2, or no, she's 1-2 in there. So she'll get another shot. I think the move up probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, she definitely is a physical specimen and can. Well, can she wrestle, or is Denise Gomes wrestling that good? Or
I think she can. I think it looked fine early enough. Although Gomes is pretty strong herself, right? Yeah. She's a strong flyweight. I think if you give her a chance to not be absolutely exhausted by the weight cut, I think you see a better version of her.
And a good win for Denise Gomes if she can put together grappling like that on top of the power that she has. She's got a future here. Bantamweights, men's side, Taylor Lapilus pieced up Cody Stamann like we hoped, 30-27, across the board for him.
Nothing to say here. Cody Stamann, older, slower version of Taylor Lapilus. Similar builds, only, Stamann's got much shorter arms, but, big stocky guys who can sling it a little bit and wrestle a little bit. And obviously, Stamann's just kind of past that prime now.
Yep. And then the opener, I was just watching. We had company, so I wasn't totally paying attention. I thought I had this one in the bag with Ryan dos Santos, but the newcomer Puya Tumor ended up winning a split decision, 13-7, 27-30, 29-28. And checking the stats and stuff after, she did outstrike dos Santos, even though all the media members also picked Dos Santos to win the fight. But Gumby says I was wrong, and Toomer really did clearly win the fight.
I don't think she clearly won the fight, but I would say this fight is the only example of a time where I think 30-27 either way is fine, because it completely comes down to how you weigh those kicks to the body. Because I think Pooja Tomar hurt her to the body more than once. There's a couple of times where she threw those kicks to the body, which, by the way, I talked about her kicks on the previous show too. I want to just throw that one out there. And I picked her as a massive underdog. You know, just so I didn't have a completely terrible night.
Yeah, it wasn't 100% terrible.
But like, I think she hurt her to the body a couple of times. I think it was basically, I think this felt to me, for old MMA heads here, this felt to me a lot like Shogun versus Machida 1, where some judges just neglected the idea that any of those legs kicks from Shogun meant anything on Machida, and then gave the decision to Machida. And so, like, I think this fight, when I was watching it, I was like, man, I think Tomar is doing more damage. It's just not the classic damage you look for, right? It's not the damage to the head, but it's not like Amanda hurt her to the head, right? Like, Amanda, she landed some punches, but like, I don't think she was closer to finishing the fight than Pooja Tomar was. I think Pooja Tomar's body kicks were much closer to finishing the fight than anything that Amanda was doing to the head. So if that's the case, you score it for Pooja Tomar. Now, if you look at those body shots and you think they weren't anything, yeah, you can give it to Amanda 30-27. She probably won every round if you didn't think those body kicks were worth anything. I tend to lean the other way. I think those body kicks mattered. And if that's the case, there's an argument she won every round. So I'll be the dissenting opinion on the media here. I think you got to score those body kicks. I also think the media was heavily swayed by the announcing in this fight, because the announcing made it sound like Pooja Tomar wasn't doing anything.
Yeah. And Gumby had Pooja Tomar plus 240. So there you go. That was the bright spot in Gumby's night for sure. I went 10-4, $364. I was up, so I'm almost breaking even somehow, picking every fight. I'm down $137 currently.
There's still time.
There's still time. Hitting 61% of my picks. Gumby didn't have himself a night. He was 5-9. He's at 53% in the year. He's down $2,800. So, but there's still time. It's only $3,000 behind.
Yeah, and don't bet every fight same amount every time on the money line.
We both had Prochez as our lock that hit. He had Castaneda as dog that did not hit. I had Soriano as my dog that hit at plus 170, and then we both had Leah via decision, which did not hit. Reese and Castaneda via submission was the Hungry Man Jong. That's not hit at all, because you shouldn't play parlays, people. I love people that it's a Reddit thing. How is this not going to lose? And well, because you're parlaying 7 fights. That's why you're not. That's why it's not going to win.
How is this going to lose?
Who's going to screw this up for me?
Everyone is titled.
It's usually who's going to lose this for you. You're losing it for yourself.
Who's going to lose this for you? For the 7 picks you made.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyhow, I'm not a fan of the parlays. We just do them for fun around these parts. Did not hit. All right, we didn't have a fight of the night. There was quite a few that probably could have won it. Performance of the night: Raul Rosas Jr., Bruno Fejea, Zachary Reese, Carlos Prochez. Almost 20,000 people in attendance, 19,578, 2.5 million gates. So a yummy night in money-wise for the UFC, but they're back to the UFC Apex next week for a fight night. But it's got flyweights in the main event. One of them is Alex Perez. No, that's fine. Alex Perez
he's good lately.
He's active now and showing up. All right, we got UFC Fight Night. Perez versus Taira coming up. Our boy Tatsuro Taira is being promoted, put into the main event here. So that's our main event. Of course, as of now, I see middleweights in the co-main event. Ikram Aliskerov, Antonio Trocoli. So yeah, that's a bit of a drop off if that's our co-main event. Timothy Kuamba, Lucas Almeida, Douglas Silva de Andrade, Miles Johns, Aso Almabayev, Jose Johnson, Brady Heastand, Garrett Armfield. That's the main card. Prelims: Tajiro Lebekov, Joshua Van, Jimmy Flick, Nate Manis, Josh Quinlan, Adam Fugit about it. Carly Judici, Gabriela Fernandez, Jekka Saraji, Weston Wilson, Josephine Linkren Knudsen. So some of her favorites are fighting versus Julia Pilastri, Melky Costa, Shailan Nurdam Baki. Go ahead, Gumby. Tell us your thoughts.
I'm pumped about Armfield versus Heastan. I think that's a sick fight. I really like Carly Judici getting her chance at her debut. I know she lost on Contender Series, but man, is she fun to watch. Josh Van is in there. That's a sick fight. Getting to see Josh Van get that step up to Tagir Lambakov is a much needed step forward for him. There's a lot of fun fights on this card. It is definitely a fight night card, but there's a lot of people on it that you would like. You mentioned Josephine Knudsen. I'm always here for one of her fights too.
Yeah.
I think this fight card will wind up being probably more fun on the prelims than the one from the KFC Yum Center.
Yum. And we shall be covering it come Wednesday, Thursday is when we do our UFCs. So wait for that. In the meantime, we shall have some more regional events. We call it regional, but it's really not. It's PFL, so it's really not regional. It's I guess the number 2 promotion. We're going to cover
the co-leader. I believe they use is the term.
Yes, the co-leader. Yeah, sure they are. We're going to cover. They got a big event coming up. We're actually going to cover the prelims and the main card, but we're going to do all the PFL fights. So no complaining about us, cherry picking which fights we're actually going to cover. We're going to cover them all starting tomorrow. We're not splitting it prelims, main card, but we're just basically because they have an uneven amount. They have far more prelims than they have main cards, so we're just going to split it in half. You're going to get 6 one day, 6 the next day. So now you got to watch or listen to both episodes. Haha. That's PFL, and Gumby's very good at PFL picks. So that will be starting tomorrow. In the meantime, you can catch us in the Discord. Sorry, I wasn't in there much last night. Busy, but were you in there, Gumby? Anything exciting happened in the Discord last night?
Oh, yeah. It's the guy with the really funky bunch of letters in his name. Lock Godjed hit a whole bunch of parlays.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Good for Lockjaw whatever your name is. Whatever Gumby was trying to say there.
Okay.
Get sportsgamblingpodcast.com/discord is the place to be. If you want to chat in there with us, you can also hit us up on the YouTube MMA. What are we called? The MMA Gambling Podcast, I believe. Yeah. Check for us there, or Google how to make coke. No, how to make cocaine. Was it?
I don't remember what the search term was.
There was a cocaine one, and there were some interesting ones there. So anyhow, and subscribe. Thanks. We're over 600, which is on our way to 1,000. So keep it going. Keep subscribing if you have not already, and make sure you do. Obviously, we are on the Twitter as well. SGPN MMA. Gumby runs that for us. I'm Jeff Fox Writer. He's Gumby Vreeland. I'm Jeff Fox Writer on Instagram as well. Get in my Substack and play UFC Pick'em. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm doing a Pick'em for this coming week. Well, one of these weeks, I'm not going to do one for this month, but normally I do a UFC, a free Pick'em contest for the UFC every week. So, and you check out all my writings and my rankings I was talking about earlier and all that stuff at moneymma.substack.com. And make sure you listen to Gumby on Top Turtle MMA podcast every week. He has good guests on there always, not just from the UFC, from outside as well. And of course, sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon are the places you need to go to help support us. Thank you very much. We shall be back tomorrow. It will be Rhonda, Jeff Fox, and Mr. Wonderful Gumby Vreeland. We'll talk to you then.